Hey, everybody. Welcome to the call. My name is Brady. I'm on the marketing team here at Carrot. Thank you for joining us today and happy post Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining the call today. What we're going to be doing is I've got some of our longtime favorite Carrot members here who have been investing for years, who have put in the work on their websites and into SEO and that are closing deals consistently. And we're going to be talking about how to break down SEO and success with Carrot into more bite-sized steps. Like, what does it actually take to generate motivated seller leads that you can close, motivated seller leads on a consistent basis with Carrot? So we're going to be breaking that all down. And just want to mention for technicalities, we pre-recorded this call in advance, so we are not actually live right now, but our team is on here in the chat, and we are answering and taking questions, anything and everything real estate website related. So pipe through in the chat where you're from, and if you are an agent, an investor, or both, and let us know any questions as they pop up. But anyways, Bo, Keith, Tyler, welcome to the call, guys. How you guys doing?
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Doing good.
I was trying to get like all three in sync at once so I could jinx it.
I figured we'd just kind of all chime in and allow the other person.
Yeah, that's good, man. So let's do this for people that don't know you, haven't tuned into the podcast before. Let's go around and I'll just go in the order on my screen. We'll go Tyler and then Keith and then Bo. Do a 30-second intro, who you are, where you're from, how long you've been investing. Yeah.
Should start with Keith.
Tyler.
Okay. Tyler.
It was skipping out. Am I back on?
You froze for a split second, but you're good now. Yeah. We got you.
Okay. So sorry, it froze out. The question is, where am I from? Kind of my background. It was skipping out. I apologize.
How long no, you're fine. How long you been investing? What market are you in? And yeah.
I've been investing for a long time. So I've been a licensed agent for going on like 33 years. I bought my first foreclosure right out of college. I'm 55, so you can do the math. But I've been at it a long time. You name it, I've done it. Foreclosures, bandit signs, direct mail, pay-per-click, you name it. But when I found Carrot, and we'll talk about it, I totally did a change and revamped everything and just went to all organic SEO. Try to keep it super simple and rely on Carrot heavily for pretty much all of my leads and all of my deals.
Nice. And what's I forgot to ask, what's your business model right now? What kind of deals are you doing?
Business model, I mean, as the market shifts, you got to ebb and flow and adjust. But my business model, and again, forever, I did pre-Carrot. I was a fix and flip guy. I lived at Home Depot. Long story short, I had a guy that did all my rehabs. I was leaving to go out of town and trusted the guy. He was going to be done while I was gone. I preloaded a Home Depot card, paid him. I came home and nothing was done. And he was nowhere to be found. So I was kind of at the end of my rope. I was burned out on doing rehabs, just tired of living at Home Depot, managing contractors. That's when I totally changed my model, found Carrot. Haven't done a rehab since. And my model is more what you call hoteling, just because I'm a licensed agent. I take the property down. I don't wholesale. I take it down, do some light rehab, nothing major, paint, carpet. If it's a major rehab, I just put it in the MLS and sell it. Nice thing about EXP and my model, I'm motivated to do that because there's other incentives to be doing deals. So at the end of the day, it's all about speed in terms of which I take a deal down and just getting it sold without doing hardly any work.
Yeah, getting out fast. That makes sense, especially right now.
Yeah, in this market, it's a hot potato, in my opinion. But I got hit hard in 07, 08. I basically lost everything and had to start from ground zero. So I'm more on the conservative side. I don't feel like doing that again. And so for me, it's all about doing what I can manage, not being over leveraged. And, my model, it's myself and my wife, 1 to 3 deals based on our profit margin. I'm fine. I don't want to be the biggest guy in town, have no desire to do that. No desire to manage a bunch of people. So 1 to 3 deals a month is where I'm at. Average profit per deal, anywhere from 10,000 to I just put a deal under contract that there's probably $75,000 to $100,000 of profit in the deal. So it varies, but
That's awesome.
on average, 1 to 3 deals a month is kind of what I shoot for.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Keith, what about you, man? What markets are you in? And how long you been investing?
Keith Sant from Tacoma, Washington. I've been investing since 2017, and I actually started investing from my house up in Washington down in Texas with a partner down there. So we did, anyways, I still invest in Texas and Washington. Business model is primarily wholesale. I bought a few rentals along the way, did some flips. I, like Tyler, don't want to flip. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, 90% of all of our deals, probably 95, are all wholesale, and cherry picked like the really good ones.
Okay.
As far as like marketing, as far as marketing and everything, like Carrot online, SEO is like 90% of all my lead gen, and then the other 10 is a little bit of paid, pay-per-click, Facebook, and even some bandit signs still crush it. So
yeah. What's your average profit per deal? I was gonna say overall, but I'm kind of curious, like Washington versus Texas.
It's definitely a lot higher in Washington. I think it's like average like 22 right now in Washington, and in Texas it's more like 8.
Yeah. And you're in Southwest Texas, so different than if we were talking like Dallas or maybe Austin. So different story. Bo, what about you?
I'm in like super South Texas.
Okay. Yeah. Bo, what about you? How long you been investing, market, and what kind of marketing are you doing?
Yeah, I've been doing this for about a little over 8 years, actually, and which seems crazy to even say that, but started 8 years ago and just started wholesaling houses, just regular standard wholesaling. I started with bandit signs, like a bandit on the side of the road kind of a thing, at nighttime. We'd go out at night and just put those suckers out there. And that's how I got my very first deal. And then my business was mainly a wholesale based business for years, 6+ years of just 6-7 years of just standard wholesaling, assignments, double closes. And that's all we did. I did the high volume bit for a while where we just did high volume wholesaling. And when I say high volume, I mean more than 10 deals a month, consistently over time, which is a machine. It's a headache, and it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and maybe it's worth it for some people, but I think at certain times you have to value your time. So I just, my business has changed over time as the market has, and how I kind of got into the Carrot ecosystem, I would say, was actually. I'll say this just candidly because I think a lot of people may be fighting themselves there, and I'm just a kind of a candid kind of a person. And so I got into Carrot because I wanted to build out a buyer. I wanted to find cash buyers. And so that's what I did at first was I just started building out my cash buyer website. And I wanted to do that because I wanted buyers to come to me so I wouldn't have to be doing this whole thing. So that's how I did that. And then I ended up very shortly after I started, ended up getting a website and just started. I would listen to the podcast, right? I would listen to the podcast and I would be like, okay, I'm just going to do that thing. I don't really know what I'm doing necessarily. I'm just going to kind of binge listen, like hopefully many people do. And they just like get sucked in because that's how I did it. And I think many people have, right? You just listen to all these things and truck talks and all the fun stuff. And that's how I kind of got my website. And I just learned over time, but thank God I did, because I got my website up years ago and I told all my friends, I was like, hey, you need to, you should do this too. And they're like, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Well, now I rank well above all my friends, and my friends are like, oh, I need to start my website. And I'm like, yeah, I told you that 5 years ago. You should have done this. And now I rank well, and I'm happy that I chose Carrot. But now our business, we do wholesale quite a bit. We also, as the market shifts, you have to pivot and be ready for that all the time, right? Because marketing things change, and your market may be like a kind of a micro market. It may not be tied to the whole entire America thing. And so everything's it's all nuanced, right? So a lot of things change. What Keith is doing in Texas and What Tyler's doing, it may not be the exact same thing. So just be ready in pivoting. And so that's what we've done. And I changed a lot to the hotel model, kind of like what Tyler does. And I've gone over the last couple of years, I would rather do quality over quantity. I would rather do quality over quantity just because peace of mind. I can sleep better at nighttime. I don't have all these little million things out there in the world of wondering if 10 sellers are going to be upset with me in the morning or, calling me, asking me things, just the whole world. So I stick with a hotel and good wholesale deals. I'll buy those. I just look for quality. That's my main thing. I just want quality deals that I can make good money on. I don't have to be the biggest and best. I've done that over time. I don't need that or care about that anymore. I just want to live a nice, simple life. That's
I like that. So how many deals a month are you doing right now? It's like over 10 a month with you, basically you and a very small team, quote unquote team of not employees, but your attorney, assistants, whoever.
Mhm.
That's a big change, man.
Yeah. We did high volume for a while. I mean, I've done over 30 deals in a month by myself. With once totally by myself and then other with acquisitions person. But we have a pretty amazing attorneys. So that kind of helps in a massive way.
Yeah.
And then you just don't sleep, right? You work all the time.
Yeah.
Your children or anything else in life that matters. So yeah. So I kind of changed. And that's why I have gray in my beard now.
Yeah. I was going to say, man, you've probably been growing that beard since you first launched your Carrot website, looks like.
I didn't even think I could grow a beard for real. Everybody says that. That's one of the first things they say is, I didn't think you could grow a beard. And I'm like, me neither. But I started this year. Yeah.
Well, it looks good, man. It looks good. It looks good on you.
Take care of it.
That's funny. So sorry, I'm like trying not to distract myself with like beard balm questions and going down the beard rabbit hole.
I'm not a real serious person as many people might be able to tell. So it's quite interesting.
Well, I started using a beard balm. Everyone on this call is probably like, why the heck would you tune in? We're supposed to be learning about SEO. So I'm sorry. Started using a beard balm a couple weeks ago and I'm like, this is changing my life, man. This is great. It feels awesome.
It does. Yeah. So you can always text me about that stuff. It's fun.
Good. We'll put your phone number in the comments. Okay. Let's talk SEO. Okay. So, Bo, you're doing some more offline marketing. Keith, you're doing some bandit signs. Tyler, you're pretty much, doing only SEO as far as I know. I kind of get two questions in one. Any other marketing that you're doing that we left out that's complementary to SEO? I feel like would be some helpful context. So like if we're thinking about a pie chart, how many of your deals are coming from, bandit signs or supplementing with PPC to get leads in the door fast and now. But feel free to answer that if there's anything I left out. But I kind of want to break down what you guys did in the first 2 to 3 months after signing up for Carrot. Like what were the baby steps to SEO, like the main things you had to get right? This is a pretty overwhelming topic.
Well, is this question for me starting?
Everybody go for it, Tyler.
Okay.
If you're chopping a bit, do it, man.
My pie chart looks like a pie. 100% SEO, Carrot leads. No other. My average cost per deal is probably, people don't believe this when I tell them, it's $200 to $300 per deal at a minimum.
In Tucson.
And in Tucson. So, and we'll talk about the tools, but it's just, I don't know, like Bo said, time as you get older becomes more important. And I want to sleep at night, and I call it sleep factor. It's going to keep me up at night. I'm not doing it. And so about, the main question, I love this topic of realistic expectations. And so, I got into Carrot, just totally dove in and just almost just walked away from it and got into something different and said, if I can't turn this ship around and have a life, I just don't want to really do it anymore. And I found my way to Oregon and showed up on Carrot's doorstep. And
in a Volkswagen minibus with your beanie on.
I had my tent and I was just on a mission, man. I got to see if these guys are legit. And and I had a website that performed, and then things started to get really competitive. It performed for one keyword. I was getting leads, and all of a sudden those leads just dried up. And I saw other people doing SEO. I didn't know about SEO. I still wouldn't call myself the SEO expert, but I just went to work and I followed, what Carrot told me to do. I listened to Trevor, and about 12 months into it, everybody started asking me what I was doing, and I couldn't articulate it. I'm like, what did I do? And so anyway, I actually wrote an ebook. It's on Real Estate Pumpkin. If you want to go see it, I give away a free ebook, but it's the 261 formula to success. And in my opinion, it's all about setting realistic expectations. So SEO is the long game. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It takes time. And I see so many people with these expectations that they're going to get a Carrot site. They're going to do a little bit of work and they're going to be generating leads, and they get frustrated and they cancel their account. They don't continue working on their site. But working on your website, it's all about, for me, it's about income producing activities. And SEO and working on your Carrot site is an income producing activity. And people need to understand that it is, but it takes some time. So my 261 formula to success is about realistic expectations. The first 2 months, I buried myself in the office, and I just went to work every day on location pages, my about page, like literally for 2 months. That's all I did. I listened to all of Carrot's podcasts and just tried to educate myself. And then it's got to marinate. It takes time. SEO is not an overnight thing. And at about 6 months into it, I did my first Carrot deal. And then, so that's the 6. You can expect, I think, realistically, in about 6 months, you're going to start getting some leads if you do it right. Mm-hmm. And I did my first deal. And then month 12 is when the magic happened, to where we now get enough leads to do 1 to 3 deals a month, and it's all organic SEO. That type of lead is awesome because they're chasing you. You're not chasing them. They've looked at your website. They've looked at your about page. They're more profitable deals. They want to work with you, and they're chasing you. So it's just a beautiful thing, but you got to put in the work, and you got to have the realistic expectations up front that it's going to take some time.
Yeah, I love that 261 formula you came up with. And I think, I'd agree with what I see. Keith, you're probably seeing the same thing, like that. We call it the ranking sprout of around 6 months. And then the closer you get to a year, things are really popping. For later in the conversation, Tyler, if we have time, I kind of want to dive into what you're doing on YouTube as well and see if you're getting any leads there on the
that's
motivated side.
Huge, but So my main focus now is, I also do a lot on the retail side, but my YouTube channel has been one of the best times. I mean, it's just, it's awesome. It's free. It takes time. It's the same formula, literally.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a long game. It's still SEO.
Yeah. And it takes time, but it's now on the retail side. I mean, I've already done probably 4 or 5 million in 2023 of retail stuff, just all from YouTube SEO.
That's crazy. That's crazy, man. That's awesome. Yeah, Keith, what were you, did you bury yourself in your room for a couple months doing SEO in the early days?
He's still buried.
He's never got away from his computer.
Yeah, I definitely did. I did a lot of the same stuff Tyler was talking about, right? Just building out pages, rewriting a lot of copy. As far as, I did that for sure. Would I do things different now? Yes. As far as like your question, like what's the very first thing I would do? The first thing I would do is start creating some citations and social media profiles to get your business name out there. Google's whole job is to put the best and the most complete answer in front of a searcher as fast as possible, but they want to put it from a real legit credible company. And it's hard to tell Google you're a real legit credible company when your company name isn't out there across the web. So, having a press release, your citations, your social media profiles, it's probably the first thing I would do. And that's because they take time. Like any other backlink, they just take time. Like my best analogy for this is put your laundry in before you start the dishes. Otherwise, you're going to be doing chores all night. And like backlinks or stuff like this is like the laundry. Because if you create this social profile today, it could take up to 60 days for Google to crawl that profile, crawl that page, and then you start getting a juice back to your site. And so I would recommend do those first, and then start working on your website. If you work on your website and then come back and do those, it could be like 60 days from that point before you start getting that. But you could create, or you could do your stuff on your page day one and ask Google to crawl it and get results a lot faster. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. And so even just to clarify what you're saying, start doing the citations, social media profiles, Google business profile before getting deep into like the credibility aspect of it. Because why not? Why not start with those? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Bo? You have a little bit of a different journey.
Yeah, I mean, so let me just say this. I'm not the same as these other guys, right? So let me just say that right out the gate. I am not as smart as these two gentlemen. Like they're totally, I mean, in a different way. I do my own thing.
Lie.
We're all different, right? And the reason I say that is because there's so many people who listen to stuff like this, and I just want you to know, like, we're normal people, like we're everyday dads. Like my dog might come in here and attack me in a minute. And I have a 10-year-old to 8-year-old at the time of this recording. And we live out normal lives and we just put in the work, right? We're doing these things that I would say are not like sexy, so to speak. And a lot of times I'll say this, like Tyler said something that I think was really, really important. And it's this one thing, is setting proper expectations. And I cannot emphasize that enough, because I think social media is absolutely amazing. I'm a huge proponent of social media, but it's also in the last 3 to 5 years been one of the most damaging things to people's success. It's because you can pop on and you see the highlight reel of people talking about their success, but you don't see those people up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like I worked from 7:30 yesterday morning till I did not close my eyes until 2:30 this morning. Like I was up that long actually working, doing stuff on our business. And you don't really see that. You just see people cashing big checks. And a lot of times it's just misleading to how much work and effort goes in. And you just want like instantaneous results, like a microwave mentality. Like I'm going to go in there and I'm going to call a seller and they're going to be like, sure, I'll give you my house for 50 cents on the dollar. It's like, no, you're going to hear no, or like F you, or some insanity things a lot of times if you're not doing like SEO stuff, right? And it can crush your soul a lot of times. Like, man, I thought I wanted this, and now it's like hurting my feelings. Or you think, hey, I might put up a carrot site this weekend, and bam, Monday, some person's gonna be like, oh my God, I looked you up and God sent you from heaven. That's more than likely not going to happen. But if you set those proper expectations of like, hey, I'm planting a seed. We are farmers. And over time, you are going to get good results. If you put in the time, effort, and work, if you do those things, it will be amazing. And let me say this, I've done all types of marketing. I have done every single thing ever possible. And if you could choose one thing that you would want to do, it is get people who come to you, raise their hand and say, I want to sell my house and I want to cash offer my house. And I want to come. They looked you up. That is the very best thing ever in all of wholesaling, real estate investing, or in any kind of marketing. People say, I want you. That is the number one. So if you're just starting this journey, set the proper expectations. And I know that was a long way for me to say that, but set those proper expectations so you have success and you're in the game a long time. I think that's like one common thread, is like a lot of us, we've been in the game a long time. And just set that expectation of like, hey, yeah, start working on your website today. Like get going, because the year from now, you will thank yourself. Like the 10-year version of you that has been in the game a long time, you will be so thankful that you did this.
It's funny when I asked you to hop on this call, you were like, I'm not doing a lot of SEO, right? And I'm like, yes, exactly. That's why I want you to hop on this call, so people could see, the fruits of the benefit of just starting it early. And by early, I mean today, instead of like literally today, this week after Thanksgiving, instead of waiting another 6 months. So
Absolutely.
You can start building that domain authority. But two, just your journey looks a little bit different. So you didn't go like super deep into your carrot site in the beginning. Did you go with the concierge? Did our team worked on your site with you?
Yeah, like my carrot journey, like I jumped in and I did a lot of it myself, which I just kind of bootstrapped it and watch videos, listen to stuff, and I kind of I don't even think I can say this word, like pick the brain. I oh my gosh, I can't believe I even said those words. Like I picked the brain of people like Keith and stuff like that. I'm sorry for all the people who are listening. Like that's just for people like I hate that. I just talked to a lot of people who were smart, and what happened was I started doing it, and I started just kind of, my goal was like, I didn't have the plan like Tyler had because I just was ignorant. And what I mean was like, I truly just didn't know. So, but what I did is what Tyler described. I would get on my website like almost every day. I would just kind of work on these little tiny things. So I would say I would work on some text. I would want to customize my images. I cared a lot about branding. I cared about how the thing looked. And so my goal was, I didn't plan this, so I can't like take credit like this is my master plan. I was going to go for this big brand authority in my market, and I wanted to do these big things. And back then, I just was like, I'm going to have my website, and I want it to look cool, and I want to be credible. I did think that, and so I worked on those kind of things over time. I just slowly worked on that, and I had put up videos. They were kind of like cell phone videos, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because you can't mess up a motivated seller. Really, if they're super motivated, they're going to come to you. That's a whole nother issue, but that's kind of like my journey. I would just work on stuff over time and just make it better collectively. I would spend time doing it. And then actually I'd have good rankings now. I get leads, I get deals from my SEO. It's something I really want to be Tyler. That's my main goal in this business, is to be him and just get all the deals coming to me through SEO and total domination and annihilation of all my competition in my market. Even they're my best friends. I want to crush you. I love you guys. I want to crush you and dominate you. Yes.
That's awesome. And I guarantee you they're listening to the call right now. They're probably in the chat.
They're going to text me and they're going to be like, hey, bro, bring it. And then we'll go to coffee and have lunch and laugh.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I want to ask one question. So I want to talk about credibility, Bo, and how y'all are using your Carrot websites, even just outside of SEO. Because I feel like a lot of people listening, still might say, well, SEO, maybe later, maybe someday, maybe I'll take the time to do that. But I want to make the benefit clear for like why you need a website showing your credibility, even if you're not doing any, SEO. So I want to talk about that. But real quick, before we dive into that, I'm going to pull up, Bo, your website, and Keith, your website in a second. But I want to hear what were some of the things that you didn't need to do getting a Carrot site? Like, I feel like sometimes even I work here, but like I'll overlook some of the things or take them for granted, like what you don't need to do that Carrot's already done for you out of the box, like making sure you're all your title tags, your H1, your H2s, your H3 tags are dialed in for your market, making sure the site loads fast, at least out of the box, any things, are there any things you were like, oh, sweet, good thing I don't have to do this because it was already set up in Carrot?
I just learned what an H1 tag was recently. So, I just say this stuff truthfully because there's so many people who might listen to this and be like, I don't know what H1 or H2 tag or H3. And Keith is like, listen here, Bo, and go over here and click this little button. Here's H1. So for those of you, that's kind of like the way I am sometimes. So it's okay.
I think you changed your H1 after our talk last month.
Well, of course I did, right? I mean, like, you can affirm, like, I'm not lying or exaggerating. This is true story, right?
Love it.
But you still can make a lot of money and not be, just be yourself is my point.
One thing that I love about Carrot versus like WordPress or another, instantly you get forms, right? Like sometimes you got to like create your own types of forms and then get them to integrate to your CRM. That could be a huge technical pain in the butt if you're not tech savvy like whatsoever. The other big thing I really like are the placeholders, right? You jump on like a WordPress site, you got the market city, market state, that kind of stuff, your phone, company name. If you're duplicating out a lot of city pages, location pages, having the placeholders is like super, super valuable and time saver versus like, control, find, replace for like, Tacoma 100 times on a page, times, 100. That anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Super
man.
technical answer, but yeah, out the gate.
No, I'm glad you mentioned it because I'll
There's so many
forget.
videos out there that you can just follow these guys and showing you what to
Yeah.
do. So don't fear.
Well, like I'll forget some of the things, like you mentioned forms. Like I take forms for granted. Like I've built forms on WordPress sites or custom like Wix websites. I mean, Wix, it's easier, whatever. And then you get a crap form, but like building a form from scratch on WordPress, like, oh my gosh, you can lose days. It's crazy.
And with the step 1 and the step 2 and the thank you page and getting it all like seamless, yeah, pain in the butt.
And your confirmations and your integrations and hooking up to your CRM, all that. Yeah. What about you, Tyler? Anything specific? If not, that's okay.
Specific. I mean, Carrot is, a racehorse versus, a pony or whatever. I mean, you can be up and running and out the gate. And I mean, you can go quick. And I know the other side because I had a WordPress site, and the amount of money and time that I spent on that other site was far more than the value of what Carrot provides. So the key to Carrot for me is just anybody can be up and running within seconds. And then it's up to them to do all the things. But like Bo, the big thing that was super important to me, and this is one objection that a lot of people have about Carrot, is that, Carrot sites look like Carrot sites. And I wanted to be different. I wanted to differentiate myself, and branding and all that kind of stuff was super important. And I did a lot of that hard work with my other site. So I had a killer logo, all that. But I hired Carrot and the Concierge because I wanted to be totally different. And for me, it was worth the money and well worth it, again, just from a branding credibility site. And again, you can be up and running quickly. You can work on all the back scene stuff that Keith's the pro at. I know just enough to know, but you can still be doing all that stuff and have an awesome site that at the end of the day, you're going to end up spending less money with Carrot than hiring somebody else to put together a performing WordPress site, and it's still not going to perform the way Carrot does. So to me, it's just, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Well, let me pull up your site real quick.
Pull up.
So this is Bo's. Where are we at? This is one we're talking about, yeah?
Yeah, that's one of, and that's a whole nother subject, but it's one of them. But that's
Okay.
that's the one to use for this.
Yeah.
Is the best one.
Okay. So we got sell Tucson home fast, get my cash offer, big fat button, which we finally put out the ability to do big fat buttons without doing custom code pretty recently. So that's neat. Yeah.
But the most important, in my opinion, and I think this was the question, if you look at the analytics of any Carrot site or any site for that matter, the second most visited page on any site is typically the about page. And so you've got to spend time. Like, I've got missions, values. Credibility is a key component to this business. People have to like and trust you. And so spending time on an about page where people can relate with you and get to know you, have missions and values and what you stand for. And, the biggest mistake that I see people make with their Carrot site is they leave that about section the same. And that's the detriment, in my opinion, because they're going to bounce and go someplace else. So spending time on your about page is super important to have it well written and well put together.
Yeah. Well, you've done a good job too with, even just outside the credibility, like, yes, I can't overstress the importance of building the credibility and making it personal, but you've done a good job of making a cohesive brand where like your colors, the feel, even these photos. A lot of that's like even improved since you started doing the whole YouTube thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that it matches your other social profiles, your offline marketing. It just, when people see this at a glance, it feels like Tyler. It feels like, the Tucson Home Buying Company. Yeah. I mean that generically, not in the company name.
All right. And spending a little bit of time up front, if you're going to do a Carrot site or any site for that matter, getting your branding down first is really important, because you've got your color theme, you've got your colors, you've got your look and feel. And when you do that, if you're going to go down the Concierge path, it makes it a whole lot easier for Carrot or anybody else, just because your color palette and your look and feel is already done, and you can be up and running, and the credibility piece of this business is done and super important.
Yeah. Nice. Bo, tell me about Tell me about what you use Carrot for. I mean, you happen to be ranking for some of those competitive terms, like you mentioned in Louisville, even though you're not working on your SEO a ton, but you're making little tweaks along the way.
Yeah. I mean,
Talk
like,
to me about credibility and like some of your offline marketing feeding back to it.
obviously I care about this. It's something that we do have some good rankings and does bring in quality leads. It's really important. So one of the things that I view now, like once I kind of understand the business and like the marketing world and just how this kind of works now, is like, and I've talked about this in like kind of private mastermind kind of stuff, but there's kind of tiers of when you get in the wholesaling space, there's kind of tiers of what you do and who you are, and you kind of evolve into, if you care about growing your business and have sustainability in this business, you need to get to the top tier. And I'll go through them really quick. And the top tier is brand authority, like number one of all time. If you want to make lots of money in any business, you have to have brand authority. You have to have that where people know who you are in the space as this person is known for X. And a website like this gives you that authority as the local authority in whatever that is. And I'm sure in every city that someone is listening to this at, of some company that has some jingle on the radio or on the TV that is like 1-800, some fancy jingle name of some guy who's a plumber or some person who's something, right? It's that authority figure that you can think of that they are the local authority. And that's what this gives us a power to do, is it gives us the authority in our local markets it gives us the power to become that local authority. And that's what I've chosen to do is I like design. I like aesthetics. I like things that look nice. And I care about this kind of stuff, like cinematography and those kind of things, even though I was forced to use like my webcam on my computer because my camera wouldn't work. It really bothers me. So like this kind of stuff. But if you see like some of our videos are really good quality, they are very good. They sound good, and I need to kind of update some of these things on some About Us page, but it's good. It like gives us a little bit gives people a connection to who you are as a home buyer and in a professional way. And that is one thing in any good sales environment. Any person who's good at sales knows this, is that the best salespeople, they overcome the objections before they even come up, right? So you're answering a lot of these questions before you ever speak to the seller the first time. And as you sit here and you're scrolling through all of these little testimonials and all these things, what it says to people is that this person is actually doing what they say they're doing, and he can actually do deals. And that is what a website like this does for you. In the simplest form, it is just giving people a lot of information to make a choice if they compare my website to other websites of like my friends in the business who are also Carrot customers, we each have a different philosophy. And it's just, mine is based around brand authority, who I am as an individual, showing lots of testimonials, showing quality images. I use emotion in my video here. And if someone wants to go watch that video, then these kind of little things, it's quality stuff where you can watch through it. And it kind of lets people know, like, I tell a story in these videos, and I show homes that we've been in, and we use emotional music, and we've built this brand authority of like, hey, this guy is helping people. And that is kind of our message as a company, is that we help people, and we kind of help people through that. And I closed a deal recently, and I was sitting in the living room with the seller, and told me that they were doing their research, which, by the way, every seller does. That is the purpose of this entire call, is that they all are doing research on you, whether you have a website or not. They're trying to find information about you, and your digital footprint, or your fingerprint, so to speak, is out there, and it's saying something about you. And you want it to say the things that you make it say, right? And this website gives us that authority. And this lady told me that she did her research and she watched the video and she chose right then that I would be the person to buy her home.
Mm.
And that's what you want. You want them to, the sales process is almost done before you get there, right? Or you have that conversation. All the objections are overcame because they did their research and they like you. And people truly, I've done enough deals to know that you don't have to be the smartest, you don't have to be the highest price offer. But one thing that is a must, and this is a non-negotiable, is that if someone does not like you, they will not sell you the house. That is a true statement. Now, I guess you could way overpay for it, probably like way more than its value, and they would be kind of silly. But if they actually hate you, then no, they probably still wouldn't take it.
That's a really good nugget.
They got to like you. Like that is, that's so important. Like it's just, you won't fail in this business if they don't like you.
Well, I was on a podcast yesterday. It's not coming out until January, so sorry. But I was talking with somebody who was giving some insight on, kind of the future of our industry and bigger companies coming in, Wall Street coming into the investing space and making it more difficult for mom and pop investors. And this is exactly what we're talking about. It's like the only way to compete and stand out when you're up against big companies and iBuyers. I know iBuyers, that term has like been a little out of the news. It's not as talked about recently, but he was, making an argument for a while that is the future. Anyways, it's what you're talking about. It's like having people like you and trust you. You do that with your website. And that's where it's going to be really hard for bigger companies, national companies, Wall Street to compete, with the local guy.
Yeah. I love my city. So do you. Like we're really built into the community in this, like the local leader kind of a thing. This is what these websites actually give us the power to do, is become our local market authority on said subject, whether that's the hybrid agent or it's a strictly an investor, right? So you can play both roles, and the media gives us the power to be that authority. And that's one thing that is absolutely amazing in today's, like in this time, it's even more, it's better now than it was even several years ago. I mean, it's getting better all the time, and that's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about what you do in the first, 2 to 3 months with Carrot. I want to just overemphasize this really quick in case we didn't say it, but Keith and Bo, what you guys talked about is just brand search, like having your brand search dialed in before going after some of the more competitive keywords. So making sure that you show up. So anybody listening, if you're just getting into SEO or you're thinking about switching to Carrot, make sure that you're making an effort to show up for, Simply Sold, Louisville, Kentucky, or in Keith's example, why am I blanking on your business name, man? It's been years.
Kind
House Buyers. Thank you. I'm like, oh my gosh, all I can think is Tacoma.
Because I have like 12 websites.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, so making sure that Keith's showing up when people type Kind House Buyers into Google, or Sell My House Fast, or whatever company XYZ. Make sure that you're showing up for your business name in Google before going after some of the more competitive terms. That I think
personal names, like let's that's really important as well.
Yeah, exactly. Having your personal name on the about page.
I mean, they're going to Google your name.
Yeah.
If you're meeting, they're going to be like, Tyler Ford. And that is really important. So make sure that, no super sketch stuff pops up. So you control that with your website. Just making sure that you, it's really important.
So if nobody else, if y'all watching this don't take away anything from this call, take away this, like go Google yourself, your name and your business name, see what pops up. There's your to-do list.
Yes.
Keith, let's take a look at your website and tell me a little bit about like how this website looked different when you first started, and more so like, what are you spending your time on now? Or I guess another way to phrase that might be like, what are you not working on because you did a lot of it in the early days?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it looked 1,000% different. It's hard to kind of, didn't have any reviews, didn't have any testimonial. I didn't even have my face on the front of my on the homepage or my city pages for like the first like year or two. It wasn't until, and then that was just a game changer. I remember all I did was put a stupid photo of myself, and I'd have sellers like, I looked at all these sites, like I really liked yours, or like, like, and that's all I did. All I did was put a photo of myself, but it really like made it start standing out, and people like wanted to do business with me. I know Bo was talking like. I had a lady that was literally said that she's like, yeah, I looked over at my husband after looking through your site, reading your about us page and all that. She's like, I looked at my husband and I said, I want to do business with this guy if we can. And like she made up her mind right then that she wanted to do business with me, and she'd already talked to like 4 or 5 other guys. So yeah, dialing in your site, but yeah, putting a real face to the company is really huge. I know guys that are spending a ton of money on pay-per-click, doing a lot of marketing, and they don't even have a face of a company on their marketing, which is insane.
Dude, I'm still like blown away by the number of people that just don't want to get like a legitimate headshot or even just a family photo done. Like we'll do the podcast, and sometimes, sorry if I'm calling out any of my guests on the podcast, we're like, hey, can I get a headshot from you? It's like, I don't have a headshot, or let me get one. And it's like, oh man, it's like step one, get that on your website. And I'm floored when people like don't want to put their face out there. I'm like, how you gonna win deals? Yeah. Anyways, end of that rant. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to, and I mean, you see that photo I have of me, that was just an iPhone in front of a crap house. Like, there's nothing special about that image whatsoever, but it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
This looks like my old house in Roseburg, a blue siding, that
little
cedar
cedar
plank
shake, yeah.
siding. Yeah, cedar shake siding. It's funny. What are some of the other things? Some of the other things you're working on now versus back then?
I mean, right now, after you get your location pages all dialed in, there's not a lot of like upkeep with them, right? You pick the cities that you want to go after, you dial them in, your headings, meta keyword, meta titles, and all of that, optimize your images, and then you duplicate that page out to all your other locations. After that, that's when I would start doing like a little bit of blog content and some more backlinks. So as far as like what I spend my time, and I've done a ton of stuff on my website over the last 4 or 5 years, that I did all the hard work. Now I put like $400 a month worth of effort or energy into my site, and I'm bringing in a bunch of leads every month.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And how much work was it for you to duplicate these location pages here? I feel like this is where some people get caught up. They're like, oh, I need to do location pages. I don't know, like, where do I even start? Because there's a million that you could do, especially if you're in a place like Tacoma.
Yeah, like what I mentioned earlier about having like the market city, as far as like a placeholder, you're able to duplicate these pages out like super fast. Like you see that Sunnyside page is literally like the same as my other ones, except for it says Sunnyside, right, instead of Seattle or Tacoma or whatnot. It only takes me about a minute and a half to duplicate out a location page. And one trick that I wish I would have realized in the very beginning was turning everything into reusable blocks first. So that way, if you duplicate out 100 pages and you want to change a couple words, or you made one error or whatnot, you fix it on one page, and it fixes it everywhere. If you could update one page, it updates all of them. You don't have to go back. So that one little block that you're looking at right there is like the only spot that I put on a page that's not a reusable block. And that gives me the ability to put a couple like external links to Tacoma, Google Maps link to Tacoma, or, Sunnyside or whatever. And so I could tell Google that this is about that city and not another one, but all the other blocks are reusable.
Okay, that makes sense. Similar situation for like about me or a bio block. Yeah, you wanted to update across your website and only make the edit once. Yeah,
exactly.
That's cool. Yeah, that's not a lot of time to get that many pages and start to rank for some of those cities and suburbs, etc. Tyler, what about you? What kind of SEO work are you doing nowadays?
I'm always trying to retool, or I think Bo or even Keith said it, SEO is somewhat of a moving target. And earlier, I think this year or last year, they did a huge Google update. It was the Google helpful content update, and I got the total smackdown. I mean, I went from being on number one to like falling off the face of the earth. So, I've learned this lesson over and over and over again. You can get complacent and kind of take your eye off the ball. So I had to dive back in and do a bunch of work and get it back to where it was. But I'm constantly trying to educate and learn SEO, trying to stay on top of some of the Google changes, and constantly, creating content or, adding various pages or working on backlinks. But Keith said it. I mean, once you do the hard work and the heavy lifting, then it's more just maintenance and just staying up on things. So the bulk of the work is done up front, and then it's just the little things that you stay on top with you just do a little bit every day, whether it's, perfecting a blog post, which has got a whole lot easier with AI. So I'm always working on content, or changing out photos. And I've always carrying a camera or a drone, because, one of the important things I think is if you're doing a location page, you want to have your images that are congruent, so your bounce rate stays really low. Because if you have a page that has mountains and, I'm in Arizona, if I've got a picture that looks like Colorado, they don't think you're local. And so being local is key. So I do my best to have photos that are local. And even when I do a location page, I've got a photo that matches that location, so they know they're at the right place.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's one thing people miss too. Even after, getting their Carrot website up and running, is like making those images like as easily recognizable as possible to people that live in that area. Not
Right.
just like, not if you're in Tucson, desert photos, like what kind of photos of Tucson can I get? What's a
Because the
recognizable
national
name?
brands, if you look at their websites, they don't take the time to do that. It's just a national looking thing, and it doesn't have the local look and feel. And so people want to work with local because they want to be able to, if the deal's going sideways, they want to look you in the eye. And a national brand doesn't have that advantage unless they've got boots on the ground, and typically they don't. So, being local is a huge advantage, and you really want to emphasize that. And you can do it through a lot of your branding and photos and things like that. So always just trying to up my game in that category.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That makes a lot of sense. You're not going to see some of those bigger national websites like put in local photos. Like you're not going to go to Zillow and see that, or some of the iBuyers. Cool. One of the last things I want to ask you guys is any tools specifically that you're using. Tyler, you had mentioned AI. We're actually just coming out right now with a AI content rewrite tool inside of Carrot, basically bake ChatGPT into the system. So it's like click of a button, rewrite. Don't like it, try again. It's going to rewrite the automated blog post in Carrot. So that's cool. But any features or tools you guys are using in Carrot specifically?
Well, I keep it, again, super simple. And like I said, my cost per deal, I've got Carrot, I've got Ring Central, I've got Investor Fuse. In terms of my tools, I mean, that's pretty much it. So, I mean, my monthly overhead and cost is relatively low. Again, it's all about, this business doesn't have to be complicated. And a lot of people, they make it more complicated, and they spend time chasing the shiny object and trying to do the next thing, which is a total waste of time. So, again, I try to keep it simple, and I try to keep my costs down. And those are the two biggest things for me. And again, my profit per deal is Carrot, Ring Central, Investor Fuse, and that's it.
That's a short list. That's good though.
Does not get better than that.
No, that's not a lot of expenses. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you guys sharing. Keith, Bo, Tyler, is there anything else you'd wish people to know? And this whole conversation of like setting appropriate expectations, any other contacts or words of encouragement as people are like trying to get their SEO and their websites dialed in?
Well, one thing I'd like to say, and I didn't mention at the beginning, I mean, at the end of the day, your goal is to work yourself out of an exchanging hours for dollars. And so I learned the lesson the hard way in the last meltdown. And so once I started doing well in Carrot, I mean, I've got a rental portfolio that actually, in this market that's been challenging, that supports me. And I took all my Carrot profits initially and literally didn't spend any money. And basically now we've got a free and clear rental portfolio that is our freedom number, that regardless of what happens, we're fine. And so the mistake that I made early on is that I was over leveraged and just didn't make good decisions. So as you're doing deals, take that money, reinvest it into income producing assets to basically be able to work yourself out of a job. And then as a result, you're a better investor because you're not doing stupid things. And like Bo said, you're doing deals that matter, and you're not chasing skinny deals that end up being non-profitable and you got to write a check to close. That's no fun at the end of the day. And I've done that plenty of times. So my word of advice is the rich dad, poor dad approach, and take your income, put it back into income producing assets. Being in the business, you can buy off market deals that are great rentals and create a killer rental portfolio that you're buying 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar, and that are going to cash flow. And in this market, it's hard to cash flow, but with these leads coming in, you can still do deals that cash flow based on buying properties at a discount. So that's my biggest advice. Just be conservative. Don't be doing stupid stuff on social media. Like Bo said, they're looking at your Facebook page. And if you're showing big checks and just, bragging about what you're doing, they're going to go use somebody else. So just, be that guy that people want to work with.
Yeah. That's good advice. Don't post the checks to your Facebook profile.
Yeah. Don't post anything that's going to make you embarrassed if you're sitting in front of a seller and they're like, scrolling through your stuff, and they're going to choose somebody else because you did something or said something that was like you're super passionate about, but at the end of the day, it cost you 30 grand because they said they didn't choose you. And you're like, well, now Tyler's got the deal. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Delete all that stuff. Like, get all that stuff off. Like, be Mr. Vanilla, Miss Vanilla. Like, don't offend people. Like, we're in business here. Like, in the sense of like brand authority in that sense,
Yeah. I'm gonna start a website called Mr. Vanilla House Buyers.
Yeah.
What about you, Keith? Keith's like, I already got the domain.
Oh my God.
Probably set
Yeah.
up.
I love what you guys said earlier. One of my favorite quotes is, a year from now, you'll wish you started today, right? Like, especially when it comes to websites and SEO. Like I mentioned before, Google's whole job, best and the most complete answer, but from a real legit credible company. You can't tell Google that you're a real legit credible company when your URL's a month old or 2 months old. It takes some time. We found that websites are held back during the first year.
It's that new iPhone. It's that new Mac OS update. It's wildly unpredictable.
I didn't do that, did I?
The AI is coming to get you. It thought you did something on screen, and so it put out balloons.
Give it a
Maybe it was
thumbs up.
something.
That was awesome, man. How did you do that?
I'm just sitting here. Balloons come across my screen.
I don't know, but added
That
joy
was
to my
cool,
day.
man.
Oh, what? That
Good heart.
what? Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry if you guys aren't watching this on video. There's like these balloons, like these little balloons came across my screen, and I'm sitting here. I thought actually, I thought Brady did that.
You thought I was playing a prank on you or just being funny? No, that's not. That's not.
I understand I'm not like a serious person, but like you're sitting here putting balloons on my screen.
I'm sorry, Keith. I could. The balloons are just so distracting. I could.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
It's for Cyber Monday. That's what it's for. Anyways.
Celebration. I was like, I'm getting celebrated.
That's going to be a short.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing you can't fake with Google is how old your website is. And we found that like you're held back a little bit. It's imagine like a car with like a governor, right, where you can't drive any more than like 65 miles an hour or something. It doesn't mean you can't go and you can't get leads and start closing deals, but you're kind of held back. And we found that like it releases around like the 6-month mark. And then again, after a year, we found like a year-old site is no better than a 10-year-old site at that point. But if you're, debating on a website or SEO at all, I always tell people like get a site now, like at least get it and just let it start aging. Whether you're, don't even touch it like I got sites that are just sitting there aging, getting ready. Once I'm ready, I'll, have some time, energy, bandwidth. I'll go and start working on them. But I start that clock, and yeah, you can't fake the time. So definitely get going as soon as possible. If this is something, if you're serious about real estate, or serious about any business, as an entrepreneur, you should have a website. But if you're serious and you're going to be in this for the long haul, definitely get a website and don't wait.
I like that.
And if I could say something, to a newer person in this business, and I'm not sure where their journey is, who's listening to this exactly, but maybe you're somewhere between me, Keith, and Tyler there, and you maybe you're brand new. If I could say something, it would be, number one, get a schedule. Like you're going to work, like treat this like a job. Like if you care about being in this, 5-10 years from now, like when I say treat it like a job, I mean, we're referring to Carrot stuff. Like have a time scheduled every single week, and you live by that little schedule where you're going to do your updates and do your things and spend the time every week and do that. Be consistent over time. That's going to really be a very good thing. So, it's after kids go to bed and you go sit there for an hour or two, and you're just going to sit there and tinker, right? You're going to do those things and you're going to get it done over time. Care about your brand authority. That's another thing that's really important. Your images, like Tyler talked about, take pictures of local stuff and, replace all those images. Do these little things that you can control. And if you use the cameras you have. You don't have to go spend this extra money and get the drones and all the fancy gear like we all have now. Your iPhone or whatever you have is more than likely sufficient, as long as it's within the last couple of years. It's like they're fantastic cameras, very good quality, and you can do this stuff with the phone in your pocket. Like I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max at this time, and its camera recording capabilities are insane. It's so good. And like these kind of little things that you can control really matter over a big time period, like a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It's just going to add up and be a massive snowball, and it will pay off over time. It's just doing it, and it's not hard. It's a very simple thing. It just takes your time, and if you do it, it's going to be worth it, because like Tyler had said, like we get access to these deals that are at a really, really good discount. And, I hear people say, Burr is dead. And I'm like, not if you're the one finding the deals. Like that actually, like, I don't know if people don't think about this. Like you can Burr a deal if you get it at an insane discount. Like it's not dead. Like give me a free house and I'll show you how to do it. I mean, it's not good. You just get a cheaper deal. And it really just go into that and then spend time. Like just keep doing it. It's not, I want to really preach consistency, because that really matters in this business. It's just over time, little tiny tweaks over time really, really matter. And, go all in on media, go all in on your branding, like YouTube and all those little things that just that you can control, right? That you can go and you can film the videos and take the pictures and all this stuff. It's great. And I love the opportunity that we have today just to get out there, and everybody could do this. And the last thing I'll say is this: if I could go back, I would be a hybrid agent. I would start right away. I would preach. And I know this, like some of you just got shocked that Bo Hollis said that.
No, I'm one of those people. I'm like, are you for real?
I know it is like, what? I know, because there's been a clash a lot of times between investors and agents of just like this like arch rival enemy people, right? Like there's these little scumbags that are taking all of our deals, and you're canceling on 98% of your contracts, and referring to wholesalers, and that you are broke and living with your mom, which is totally true, and for most people, wholesalers, that is. And there's this,
we love wholesalers.
we do, of course. I'm living in this house because I wholesale, but with all that said, wholesalers would be much better off in the long run if you would get your license, because for a couple of reasons. One, I think that to be a good wholesaler, and this comes down to the Carrot ecosystem and the community and the thing that we're building, which is talking about brand and businesses, is becoming an agent is going to force you to be professional, and it will force you to do a couple things that you may not do, which is you're held to a high ethical standard, which I can proudly say in all of my time in wholesaling, I have backed out of less than 5 contracts ever. And all of those were not due to my own decision, meaning that it was some insane title problems, not like there was a lien for $300. Like I'm talking about real problems, like ownership title issues, right? That we couldn't fix. Or, stuff that was unforeseen, and it was not me. But a lot of wholesalers don't have that mentality. And I think having your license with this, having a website and all these things, you're going to get a lot of leads that you just can't deal with as a wholesaler. You get traditional people who want to sell their house quickly. They want an agent. They want to sell their property, but you cannot serve them to your fullest capacity if you are an investor only, and these people want full price. I can't tell you how many leads that we've had over the years that I could not do anything with because I was an agent, or I was not an agent. I had just to be like, hey, Bobby, here's this lead, and call him up. And the agent's like, thanks, buddy. I just listed that house for $650,000 and it sold in 1 day. And I'm like looking at this guy like, you just made freaking like 20 something $1,000. Thanks. And he's like, yeah, I'll take you to coffee next week. I'm like, and I'm just saying, like, it's a lot to think about. There's a whole other podcast issue about this. And I just think that people would be better off if they would get their license and not worried about all the legal stuff. And like, just do things right, have good intentions, and when you put a property under contract, close that sucker. If you have to do whatever it takes, like make your word more important than the ink on paper. Like that is really important in this community. And that's how I want to end it for me. It's just like our word is important here. And I think a lot of wholesalers would make more money because they could do both. They could wholesale and they could list properties and have that pay, or they could refer out and get a fee. Yeah. So there's a lot to be said. I'm sure Tyler has like a million things to say about that, but
agree with everything. That's my model to the T.
I love it.
That's so, the deals that we don't take down, I refer them out to people in my rev share and they go get the listing and I get a check. So it's an awesome model. And it makes you a better investor because from an ethical standpoint, your license is on the line, especially as a wholesaler. And states are cracking down. In Arizona now, we have to, if it's a wholesale deal as an agent, we have to, there's a whole new section in our contract that specifies that. So it's done the right way.
We should do a whole podcast on this episode. It would be a fantastic podcast.
And people think that as an investor, they think that having a license hurts you. It's never. For 30 some years, I had my license before I got my license in college, and it's never hurt me. I've had my license my whole investing career, and it's never hurt me. I've always disclosed it, and if anything, it's helped rather than hurt.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate both y'all raising the bar, for ethics in an industry that is, there's not as much, there's hardly any regulation when compared to agents. For anybody listening, there's a few podcasts we've done on it, but I think you're right, Bo. It could deserve another one soon. One of the ones is at carrot.com/close. We did this with Phil Shaver, actually out of Arizona as well. He's a hybrid Asian investor. He used to own a brokerage. But I think the stumbling block for a lot of people, a lot of investors is like, how can I pass off, this lead to an agent if I'm going to JV it? Like they don't know how to handle a motivated seller lead. So we recorded a podcast all about that, like the scripts, how to train your agents on what to say. So we've got a few good resources. Go through the Carrotcast podcast feed and find a few of those. But yeah, I appreciate that. And then, Bo, you mentioned consistency. I think that's a huge thing as well. I think people get into the mindset sometimes of like, oh, I'm just going to, do whatever it is, like do this one thing once and then never look at it in my business again. And sometimes like, I'm going to build a website, I'm going to get my setup and I'm never going to look at it again. Like going into anything with that mindset is not good. But especially like anything to do with your marketing, Like you're not going to launch Facebook ads, set it and forget it. You're not going to launch a direct mail campaign and be like, okay, hope that works well. Like put in the work, track the ROI. And the same thing goes for Carrot. It's just like baby steps, do one thing at a time. So anyways, so I want to talk to you all about anybody watching this. If you are not with Carrot yet, if you're not a member with us, we're running a deal right now that I get really excited about because we almost never discount the Carrot subscription. So we're running the biggest sale of the year right now, and I can honestly say that we never discount it. So it's up, over 50% off, about 86% off the Carrot monthly subscription. So if you want to get started at Carrot, now's the best time. Get your first month of Carrot membership, a month of the content tools add-on. So some of the tools that these guys are using, the automated blog posts, our new AI content rewrite tool, all of these SEO tools that we're mentioning, you can get this in one of these bundles. If you sign up for the other bundle we have going, you're going to get 2 months of Carrot membership, 2 months of the content tools, 2 months of our SEO tools, our SEO dashboard, and access to our 30-day authority building challenge, where we walk you through a lot of the things that Keith and Bo and Tyler have done and talked about. We kind of break those down into bite-sized steps. Our 3 lead per day training with Keith actually so graciously helped us improve and revamp recently, where we go real deep into SEO, Google Ads, Google Business Profiles, things like that. We go real deep into these trainings, so it's not as overwhelming as a topic for you. You're still going to spend some time, working on your website. Like you're still going to be putting, investing the time and energy into doing this. But we'll break it all down and give you some order and structure, so you know what to do at what stages. And then also, myself and the team put together a ChatGPT AI slide deck where we talk about. We've been talking for like an hour here, where we give you some really powerful prompts to use with ChatGPT when it comes to your marketing and your website. So we're giving all that to you at a massive discount, so you can get started at Carrot for like way better of a deal than any other time of the year. So go to carrot.com/cyber to check that out, and we will put a link in the comments as well. But that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for hopping on here. It's been a good convo. It's always good catching up with you guys, and thanks for just being transparent on your businesses and what you're doing, and continuing to raise the bar for wholesalers and real estate investors.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. That was a good one. Learned a few things. So
Likewise, yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brady.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Carrot.com/cyber. Check it out, and we will see you on the next call.
Peace.